Agent hype is everywhere and it's real, but they are not without their challenges. And today we are going to get into one of the big problems with the field at the moment. Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. We are now about 6 months into the agent era, at least if you start it from the point at which commercially available agents started becoming available and big companies started going all in on agents as the next big thing. Now, I do think that we'll look back and think that the agents of this era were very much in their infancy. There is, of course, a blurriness around what the term even means. A lot of things that we might have called automations a year or a year and a half ago are now called agents, which, as I've stated before, I'm fine with. I think it all conveys the fact that assistant AI is using AI to do things while agents are AI doing things for you. At least that's how most people are thinking about it. In any case, being now 6 months in and having at least one public company that's one of the main purveyors and pushers of agents gives us a chance to start reflecting on where the space is and what the challenges are. The company, of course, I'm talking about is Salesforce. And recently, The Information wrote a long piece about why Salesforce is having a bit of a tough time converting their AgentForce offering into value. Certainly, if you just listen to CEO Mark Benioff, you would not think there were any problems. He's declared 2025 the absolute year of AgentForce and said we've never seen products grow at these levels. Then again, on that same earnings call where Benioff said that, it was left to CFO Amy Weaver to give a more realistic and sober outlook, saying that she expects, quote, modest AgentForce sales this year. Weaver also added that the company's overall sales growth would be between 7 and 8%, which is their slowest ever. So what is the challenge? In short, it seems to be that while Salesforce has gone all in on agents, companies are still working to get themselves there. A sales manager who spoke with The Information basically just said that many customers aren't ready to commit to using the software. And they're certainly not thinking about it as Salesforce is pitching it as digital labor that essentially replaces humans for certain tasks. Some of this is a question of a general state of readiness, and companies just wrapping their hands around the assistant era of AI and now being forced to move into agents before they really feel like they have their feet under them. In other cases, however, there's more specific challenges. Hallucinations remain an issue, and in fact, even a bigger issue when there's not a human sitting there manning the tool. And there's also data connectivity and compatibility issues. The Information writes some customers aren't in a good position to use AgentForce because they need to connect the product to databases stored outside Salesforce to work properly. Basically, because this is in Salesforce's ecosystem and relies on Salesforce's data silo, that makes its applicability more challenging in certain cases. Of the 5,000 AgentForce deals that have been closed since AgentForce was debuted in late October, 3,000 of those are paying customers, with the other 2,000 trialing the product for free. Adam Mansfield, a practice leader at Upper Edge, which is a SaaS procurement consultancy that negotiates Salesforce deals, said that the paid deals included bundles where customers may or may not be using the product. Now, the Information piece sort of paints a picture of a company that's getting a little bit desperate. Mansfield again said that, quote, Salesforce representatives have raised the prospect of meaningful price increases for other Salesforce products unless customers agree to use AgentForce. Salesforce managers have also indicated to customers that they can avoid fees for using more storage or software licenses than they signed up for if they purchased AgentForce. And when it comes to the challenges here, it's clear that one of the core issues for agents right now is cost. And unfortunately, this challenge with price is operating on multiple dimensions. First is, what's the right way to price these tools, conceptually at least? And second is, once you figure out the right concept, is the price too much? Using the Salesforce example, in mid-2023, the company announced AI Cloud, a service that could generate emails, marketing materials, and customer support messages. It was basically a Salesforce-branded GPT wrapper, which we were dismissive of for a while, but obviously now there's an entire industry built around what we might have dismissively called GPT wrappers just a little bit ago. That AI Cloud product was priced at $360,000 per year plus additional fees for usage. And when it was finally delivered in the second quarter of 2024, it seems like it didn't really get any appreciable traction and has been basically forgotten. Now, how much that's because the company was already focused on shifting to agents isn't exactly clear, but when it came time for agents, the cost structure of AgentForce is based on usage rather than a fixed price. Salesforce charges $2 per conversation that the agent handles. Now, on top of that, customers are also required to migrate to Salesforce's cloud service or develop their own code to integrate with AgentForce, meaning there's some other hidden costs as well. But even just all on its own, this idea of the cost being based on number of interactions and the specific amount per interaction, neither is clearly the right answer. First of all, on the one hand, switching to an opportunity-based pricing does at least create a new rationale for how the product is priced that makes more sense perhaps on the face of it than the per-seat model that SaaS has run on for the past couple of decades. But there are challenges there. It basically creates an incentive for people to want to use the tool less. given that each usage or deployment of the tool costs them money. The second issue is the $2 itself, which on the face of it just seems like quite a bit. If you imagine 10 customer service interactions in an average hour, Salesforce's price isn't looking all that much lower than the equivalent human labor, especially with business process outsourcing systems that have that labor distributed all over the world. Also, frankly, other companies that are competing, like Intercom, are charging less right out of the gate. Now, interestingly, Salesforce is not the only company struggling with price. Manus is the viral Chinese agent that everyone's been talking about for the past couple of weeks. And interestingly, some information reporting suggests that maybe that $2 price is a little bit less arbitrary than it seems. According to the information sources, which are two people with direct knowledge of the situation, for use of their models, Manus pays Anthropic about $2 per task on average that goes through the agent. Now, Manus's tasks are fairly complex, but that's still quite a bit. And right now, the company isn't charging anything. Now, at this point, Manus is trying to keep its costs down by just limiting the number of people who can use the tool, but obviously that's not a perfect situation either, as the company wants to build usage. So the question is, what's going to make this situation work better? Well, for one thing, as I discussed yesterday, it seems very likely to me that the AI price wars are going to have a big impact on this. One of the short-term impacts of those price wars should be the cost of intelligence coming down. And with the cost of intelligence coming down, these agent companies can potentially serve up organized intelligence in a way that's more cost-effective. One challenge to that, though, is of course that agent companies are going to have a very strong incentive to always use the most state-of-the-art model, meaning that perhaps the price gains and savings from the price war will be a little bit less, as that's likely to impact near state-of-the-art but not total state-of-the-art models more quickly. I think the other question, though, is whether this really is a problem of price. What are the chances that this is just about companies not quite being ready for this slate of products? I think that you could go through and do a pretty compelling and clear list of what Salesforce is doing right and what Salesforce is doing wrong. On the wrong side, as we've discussed, it seems like the specific pricing is a bit too high. I also think that when you look at their actual offerings, Salesforce might be trying to sell too many agents and have a little bit of a confusing offering when it comes to AgentForce, rather than, for example, just really hammering SDRs. And by extension, I think they might be slightly overpromising what they can deliver right now. We also discussed the challenge of only being able to access Salesforce cloud data, which I think could be seen as a wrong thing, but also to the extent that the job of AgentForce is to bring more customers into the larger Salesforce ecosystem, maybe is just the cost of doing business. On the what are they doing right side, though, clearly, A, the company is willing to disrupt themselves. Employees are noting that the urgency with which AgentForce is being engaged is unlike anything they've seen in the 26-year history of the company. They are going absolutely all in on this, at least from a narrative and rhetorical perspective. And I wonder if, when we look back at this period, Salesforce frankly knew that they were coming into this market early and were just willing to do so. It may be that they are trying to claim territory now, that they will deal with their lumps from Wall Street for having half of those 5,000 AgentForce subscriptions not actually being paid for or not actually being used, and that this land grab, this early experience, the repetitions they're building with customers and understanding where customers are, the deeper understanding they're going to get about which use cases these agents are actually good for, could end up proving itself to be a really worthy effort, even if they are ahead of where the market is by 6 to 18 months. This show is called The Big Problem with Agents Today, and ultimately the question is the big problem the price, or the fact that we're just still a little early? Food for thought as we leave you. That is going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Until next time, peace.